In July 1099, the Crusaders launched a successful assault on Jerusalem, resulting in the capture of the city. This event marked one of the most brutal massacres of the medieval era, with a significant number of the city's inhabitants, including women and children, losing their lives over the course of several days. While estimates of the death toll vary, it is believed that tens of thousands were killed during this period of violence and chaos. In the neighboring town of Damascus, the chief Qadi, whose name was Zayn-ul-Islam Al-Harawi, was giving a halaqah in the Masjid of Damascus. The massacre is taking place in Jerusalem, and groups of people began fleeing for their lives. And one group from them took from the Masjid Al-Aqsa an oldest copy of Quran. Some Muslims wanted to preserve it, so they risked their lives and they took this Quran. They went to the large city of Damascus. They went to the masjid where the chief Qadi Zayn-ul-Islam Al-Harawi was. He saw these refugees and asked them what is going on. They told him that the Franks have attacked Al-Aqsa and that they were among the few who managed to survive and flee, bringing with them a copy of the Quran. They began recounting the stories they had witnessed, people being killed mercilessly and blood flowing in the streets of Jerusalem. Al-Harawi closes his books as it is not the time for teaching as Masjid Al-Aqsa is burning. He needs to do something. So he decides to travel to Baghdad, capital of the Abbasid Empire, and to try his best to get the Khalifa to rescue Masjid Al-Aqsa. He was among them who thought that during times of distress, responsibility lies on scholars. He enters Baghdad. He tries to meet the Khalifa, but his staff informed him that the Khalifa was too busy and had no time for visitors, emphasizing the challenges of gaining an audience with such a prominent leader. In the largest mosque of Damascus, a khutbah is being given. Everybody is listening the khutbah, and Zayn-ul-Islam walks in the mosque, and it is Ramadan, and he takes some bread, and he eats in front of everybody. People stood up, their faces flushed with anger, and began shouting, "Brother, how could you be eating during the month of Ramadan? Are you mad?" He says, "You're getting angry at me for eating a piece of bread during Ramadan, but where are your emotions when Al-Aqsa is on fire? Where is that rage? Where is that anger? You direct your fury at a fellow Muslim for eating in Ramadan, while thousands of people have been killed." After that, he began introducing himself and some of the refugees who had come with him. He told them, "I have come to seek help from the Khalifa, but he has refused to meet me." However, after making his point and putting others to shame, silencing them and even embarrassing the Khalifa, he finally gained an audience with the Khalifa and was able to meet him in his private chambers. At this point in time, the Khalifa was largely insignificant, serving primarily as a symbolic leader. He lacked an army and was essentially a figurehead throughout much of Abbasid and even Ottoman history. The true power resided not in the caliphate itself, but in those behind the viziers and the dynasties that operated under the Khalifa. During this period, the Seljuks effectively held control, while the Khalifa had limited influence over Baghdad. He was a figurehead with wealth, but no real power. Next week, Al-Harawi delivered a khutbah that moved the entire streets of Baghdad to tears, igniting a powerful sentiment that action was necessary and stirring the emotions of the people. Aleppo faces a threat from the advancing Crusaders, leading the scholars in the area to send a petition to the Khalifa. Aleppo at the time was ruled by a man named Ridwan, but nobody admired him. In fact, when the Crusader army was advancing to attack Palestine, he was engaged in a civil war with his own brother over who would hold the throne, while the Crusader forces marched nearby. Ridwan is now in charge and has signed treaties with the local Crusader dynasty, paying them gold to ensure that they won't attack him. The people of Aleppo considered him a traitor. Among them was the greatest scholar of that time, Ibn al-Khashab, who began gathering the people against the ruler, calling him a traitor. "How can you ally with the enemy instead of fighting them? You are paying them gold." Ibn al-Khashab organized a group to send a delegation to Baghdad. A few years after the Al-Harawi incident, he, as the Qadi of Aleppo and a respected scholar, also led another delegation. This time, he brought eyewitnesses to the massacre. With these witnesses, he made his way to Baghdad, not to encourage violence. This time, however, something more significant occurred. It is said that to draw attention to the cause of Palestine, those who arrived began preaching and rallying the people of Baghdad to protest outside the kingdom. When no action was taken, the protesters grew violent. Frustrated by the ruler's inaction, the people of Baghdad became enraged, leading to the destruction of public property and chaos in the city. And the rulers had to do something. They had to respond to the public sentiment. The Khalifa requested the Seljuk Sultan for assistance, as he had no power. He asked the Sultan, "Can you do something? Can you send an army?" Seljuk Sultan sent an army to defend Aleppo. After some time, a battle between Muslims and Crusaders took place. It was named the Battle of the Field of Blood in 1119. This battle was one of the most earliest and successful battles against Crusaders. Ibn al-Khashab was also present in this battle, and he delivered his khutbah to his forces that moved the entire army to tears. In it, he also mentioned Al-Aqsa. Muslims won the battle with minimal casualties. The same Caliph of Baghdad decided to send an army to Mosul, which was under attack by the Crusaders. The Seljuk Sultan sent the army, led by Maudud. Maudud was so successful that he advanced further south, ultimately engaging in one of the most famous battles of the time, the Battle of Sanabra, where his forces clashed with the Crusader forces led by Baldwin, the King of Jerusalem. Maudud won the battle, but his forces suffered significant losses, though not as many as the Crusaders. Maudud returned to Damascus to rest and recover from his wounds. His ultimate goal was to liberate Al-Aqsa. After the Friday prayer, the leader of city, who's friend with Ridwan, is walking with Maudud, and an assassin comes and stabs him and kills him. Later, the assassin was executed quickly.